One more thing that I need to share with you. This is related to the assessment for final exam. First, the final exam questions should focus more on the themes or the important topics of the course. This is very important. You know that from the practical side, sometimes there are constraints in terms of the manpower and the expertise available within the program. A good ratio between the lecturers and the students, it will be 1:20. When you do not have sufficient students, the total numbers of the lecturers shall be hired, it will be limited. Not all the university will have the lecturers of all expertise and background to be available. This is especially for the private universities, when the operations are more towards the optimizations. This may lead to a problem that some lecturers are given the courses which are not really towards their own background. Let's say now, a lecturers with geotechnical background are asked to teach some fundamental courses, such as the construction technology. You know that construction technologies are dealing with the technologies related to the construction. There will be some part related to the geotechnical. There are also other parts related to other fields of study, such as the construction. Now, since you are the geotechnical lecturer, when come to the delivery and the assessment, you will have to follow the main theme of the construction technology. Although flexibility is given to you in terms of the emphasis, but you shouldn't skew it towards another extreme that you only pay attention towards the geotechnical part while neglecting the others. Because you are more familiar with geotechnical, that is not the right way, because the knowledge related to the geotechnical shall later be delivered within the other courses, such as soil mechanics and geotechnical engineering. We will have to prevent the overlapping and redundancy in terms of the delivery and assessment from the program's context. Now, if you compromise this will lead to some unique components of the construction technology not being delivered within the program, as there are no other courses covering those. While at the same time, the geotechnical part has been overlapped and they are redundant. So this defeats the purpose of having the courses as a part of the program due to the constraint of the expertise of the lecturer. This shouldn't be done. If you have been assigned with the respective course which is not within your expertise, by hook or by crook, you have to deliver in accordance to the focus and the theme as stipulated by the program. Although you are given certain levels of flexibility in paying emphasis over several topics and chapters, but that shouldn't deviate from the main theme and the unique characteristics of that particular course. You cannot simply skew towards your own expertise so that you feel more comfortable in teaching the respective course and compromise the right of the students to learn what is necessary within that particular course. Simply said, this is not really professional. Let's say now you are strongly against teaching that course. You will have to reflect to your head of program and seek for some better solutions not to take that particular course. Now, if your head of program have made the decisions, you have to deliver that course, then you have to do it professionally. There is no such thing that you cannot teach the respective course. As for the first place, being able to become a lecturer is that you will have at least one degree higher than the degree that you are teaching. Let's say now you are teaching bachelor degree. Bare minimum for you to become a lecturer, it will be master's. And most of the time, you are at least PhD. You have gone through those in your first degree, and you have been well trained of critical thinking and learning skills. through your postgraduate studies. Yes, you have been very familiar with your own background and your field of expertise. You can ensure the qualities of the delivery towards the highest levels if it is within your expertise. There are some limitations. If you are teaching the courses beyond your expertise, this is understandable, but this doesn't restrict you from learning the respective course and deliver to the appropriate levels of quality as required by a typical bachelor degree students. Therefore, when come to the assessment, same go to the delivery, you have to make sure you pay emphasis on the themes and the important topics of the course. Another example of this, let's say now you are teaching the building services. You will have to ask yourself what are the main themes of the building services. Normally it is related to the air handling system, escalators, electrical system or piping system, and etc. Now when come to the assessment, please focus on the important topics so that it is in line with the theme of the course. Don't go for the questions like the components of the electric bulb. You are looking into the system, but when you focus too much onto the components of the elements, now your final exam serves no significant purpose in giving the students a good summary at the end of the semester. This will encourage the students to pay more attention towards the minor topics, which even though they can pass the paper very well, there is no guarantee that they grab the gist of that particular course. Why do you need to do that? Remember, we have to go back to the educations. Your focus now is not to avoid the students spotting your final exam questions so that it looks difficult. Your purpose here of the assessment is to facilitate learning. While facilitating the learning, along the way you get the data and the informations. You have an idea in terms of the levels of understanding of the students, which based on the information regarding their levels, you also will have an idea where are the possible areas for improvements. So ultimately, there is no relation with whether the students can spot your question. Try to get the purpose of the assessment right. It is also not for you to demonstrate that how good and how knowledgeable you are. You can purposely design the questions to be super difficult, twisting here and there so that the students feel confused. Only those really extremely brilliant students can get through, showing that you are really very advanced and knowledgeable. Now, this is also not related to the main purpose of the assessment. You will have to get the purpose right. Once a while, you may see this kind of colleagues among yourself, or probably you are one of them. After going through this module, you have a better idea what you should do and what you shouldn't do when come to the assessment and evaluations of the course. And then, why is this important? First, if this is not well established, whichever result that you acquire from the evaluations may not truly reflect the actual situations. Now, as an outcome of the evaluations, you have to propose for the improvement. Now, if the result for the evaluations is not in line with the reality, whichever improvement that you propose on basis of that will have no ground, and your improvement plans most likely is not solving the root problem. Instead, it will be as if another additional move, hoping that it can resolve the problems by chance. So this is not the main purpose of the evaluations. Eventually, you will see yourself spending so much effort trying to improve the course and the program, but only a little progressions or no progressions are observed. And this is going to frustrate you, and at the end of the day, you realize that OBE is not functioning. Is it true that OBE is not functioning? Because there are a lot of mistakes, redundant move, and inaccuracy throughout your implementations. That makes the OBE not functioning, and that makes a lot of wasted effort in order to improve the program. Next is about the marks allocations. The marks allocations in the marking scheme must be clear and explicit. Every time when you need to prepare your marking scheme, you have to consider yourself as if preparing the marking scheme for the third party, even though you are the one that going to use the marking scheme. Imagine if anything happens, or due to some unforeseen circumstances, the third party will be involved to do the marking. How can you ensure the consistency in terms of the assessment results? Let me give you an example. In some universities, you have expatriates. Those are foreigners being hired as the lecturers in the universities. Normally, foreigners do not take leave along the semesters, as they would like to consolidate their leaves for them to go back to their home country during the semester break due to the cost of traveling. Let's say now the foreigner carried out all his responsibility, done the final exam, done the marking, and then proceed with the leaves. Wanting to go back to their home country, he will be taking leave for 1 month. And then among the students taking the papers, some will have to go for the supplementary papers, which has to be conducted during the leave of the foreigner lecturer, and this will require the third party to do the marking. Now, the third party to do the marking may not be the person teaching the course. It may not also have the similar standards as yours. Now, this comes to the importance of the marking scheme, why it is required to be very clear and explicit. You need to ensure the consistency in terms of the marking. Another scenarios that you require a good marking scheme, it will be when there are several lecturers teaching the same course over a large group of the students. Let's say now you are in the large university. For every batch of students, you have 10 classes. 10 classes are taken by 3 lecturers. All the students are taking the same set of exam questions, marking based on the same set of marking scheme. And in order to ensure the consistency of the marking, you will have to make the marking scheme to be very clear and explicit. Next is about the instructions. The instructions should be made clear to the students. The keywords must be precise. This is to avoid the ambiguities that can lead to the confusions of the students and influence the accuracy of the assessment result later. Students may know how to answer the questions, just that now the instruction is not clear, end up like the students cannot answer the questions. This doesn't reflect the actual situations, and this should be avoided. Next is about the moderations process. Normally, we will have a peer moderator to check the final exam papers, whether it is free from errors, mistakes, or ambiguities. Sometimes the moderator may have some comments, asking the lecturers to improve accordingly. And very often, argument may occur here. You know that the lecturers who are teaching the course have their own strategy in doing the assessment, also have some emphasis over the assessment as well, in order to achieve the purpose of the learning of the students. And the moderator is a third party, which have another point of view, may have different opinions over that. Sometimes moderators give some comments and recommendations for the lecturers to make some improvement. Now, if the comments or suggestions given by the moderator is not right, this one no argument. You can rebut those comments with proper justifications, and you may stick to the original arrangement. No matter what, you cannot simply ignore that. You have to make it transparent that these are the comments by the moderator and these are your rebuttal as well as with the justifications. Another possible scenario it would be when the moderator is right and you as the lecturer realize that that is your mistake. Normally no argument here. You have to respond to the suggestions and the comment and correct accordingly. Very often the argument happens when the moderators have some points and you also have certain point. Either way we do. Now the question here is whether are you going to insist on your way or do you need to follow the moderator? And normally there are arguments here. What if the moderator also insists on their point of view? Now nobody is giving way. This will lead to a lot of administration burdens to the superiors. You're going to forward the case and argue in front of your superiors and asking the superiors to decide who to follow. If you ask me how to handle this, I would say that all the comments given by the moderator must be addressed. It doesn't matter whether the moderator is right or wrong. As long as the moderators have some point, you will have to abide accordingly. All the comments needs to be addressed. It is only when the moderator is obviously incorrect, then you can follow up with further clarifications and getting the consent of the moderator. Now, as long as the moderator is right, it doesn't really matter whether you are right or wrong. You don't have to insist on that, as this is the functions of the moderator. The moderator will check your errors and mistakes and also give you comments and recommendations for improvement. Since that it is in the opinions of the moderators that improvement should be made, and that is based on the professional judgment of the moderator, you will have to believe the professionalism of your moderator. Don't go and argue this with your moderator. You may feel that you are also right. Why do you have to follow the moderator? I would say that you shouldn't look at this case only between you and the moderator. We are talking about the quality management system. What does it mean by this? The moderation system is a mechanism to facilitate the qualities of your final exam paper. There is nothing emotional here. The entire system put the belief on you and your moderator that both of you are professional. Having the moderator to overlook onto your quality of paper is a part of the system here. And that is the purpose to have the moderator. And the system will allow the moderator to function fully as the moderator. So your actions arguing with your moderator and then bringing this case to your superior is actually undermining the smooth operations of this system. On this aspect, this is not really professional, because you think on this case emotionally between you and moderator, while from the perspective of your superiors and the persons who design this system, they are looking into this in the mode of the system on the operation side, nothing emotional. So in this case, it is only when you address all the comments by the moderator, especially when the moderator is right. It is regardless whether you are right or wrong, all the comment must be addressed. And then you know that the purpose of setting up the system, having the standard operating procedures throughout the system, it is for the sake that to minimize the administrative burdens, especially for your superiors. Now, when you interfere with the operations of this system, this will lead to the additional administration burdens, which is not necessary from the point of view of your supervisor in the first place. Even though you end up, you don't have to modify anything and not to follow the moderator. But this is not the best outcome. It will start a precedence that in future, the lecturer has the right not to abide to any recommendations and the comments given by the moderator, even though the moderator is right. Then this undermines the functions of the moderator, which at the end of the day, we do not need moderator if the problem persists. Now, when you do not have the third party to check the qualities, this will also defeat the purpose of quality improvements of the program, and the quality management system cannot function as its ultimate purpose. Think about it, nothing emotional. So the best outcome it would be addressing the moderator's comment, even though you do not agree, as long as there is no significant implications to the assessment of the students. It is just a matter of strategy and the way to approach the assessment. That shouldn't be an issue. Just get it through and move on.